Log off 10 p.m. sharp.
All right, all right.
Sharp.
Everybody knows I don't go anywhere without my dogs.
Sir.
Yo, Igor, did you find the chicken broth or what?
I did not say that you could fucking talk. Dude.
George, did they tie your dreads too tight? Are you all pissy tonight or what?
We've been relegated to the third chair for a reason. Come in
You
and
haven't
play
even hit the
your role.
rankings yet, and you're already taking shots at me.
Come in and play your role.
Yeah, ask Pete about the hot chip. He ate the hot chip.
No, we don't want to talk about the hot chip. The hot chip is not
You know
good.
that hot chip that they sell at like 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
One chip challenge
It's
or
the
whatever?
Pocky one chip challenge.
Yeah. He ate one and then he called out of work the next day.
I had to call it. I'm not even kidding. George, when I tell you that the shit that was coming out of my ass was burning a hole through the porcelain toilet.
All right,
I can't even
family program.
I can't even begin to tell you the pain I went through for probably 36 hours.
All right. The power rankings. We doing it?
We're doing it.
I guess we'll get right back into it. We'll go 12-1 again. All right. So 12 and 11, I think we can both guess what they are. I think maybe there's a little bit of discussion to be had about it. Number 12 is the Draft Pick Factory. Number 11, Slippery Pete. Pete, since you're involved in this one, the floor is yours.
No, not much to say. I mean, I think me and Fitz are going to be locked in at 11 and 12 for the remainder of the season. The only
Oh no.
I mean,
It's-
it's on you because you went to him first. I don't know why you went to him first.
Nothing's more surprising than Pete having dial-up, or less surprising
the
than
worst
Pete having dial-up.
internet ever. Should we pause it? Should we pause it right now?
No, you rock and roll, dude. We're in the middle of a show.
All right, well, we'll keep going with it. We'll let him figure it out. George, what do you think about these?
I think I've said we had Sean on here. I was very nice to Sean. I didn't have to be, but I was. But he has a terrible team and a terrible rebuild plan. So I think he'll be locked into 12 here for a little bit. And then Pete, it's just a bad owner. He's admitted as much himself. So yeah, like he said, not that surprising to see that these two are locked in at 11-12. I think that's going to be the case for a couple of years.
Do you think that there's a chance that they could flip-flop at some point in the season? Because I'm kind of seeing maybe in like the next couple of weeks. Because if you're looking at it, obviously Fitz is 0-5. He's clearly the worst team in the league, but Pete is now down Russell Wilson and David Montgomery. Fitz just put up 98.56 points last week. Do you think that maybe there's a chance over the next couple of weeks with Russ out, with Montgomery still not coming back, that maybe Fitz strings together a couple better weeks than Pete? He just outscored him by 8.5 points. Do you think maybe they could flip-flop at some point?
I think you just spent a minute and a half talking about who's going to be 11 and who's going to be 12, and literally nobody cares. So
I enjoy the race for the bottom because I don't know. It's kind of two different philosophies where it's like Fitz, at least he's trying. At least he has some type of plan. Pete, I wish he was here so we could talk about it a little bit more, but he loves putting guys on the block. And then when you make offers, he just says, I think I can do better. But he never actually tries and gets better. I think he just likes giving us the notifications and not really doing much about it. But yeah, we can move on. I think there's a little bit more discussion to be had about these middle spots. I think that's kind of where it gets more tricky. And this is so at 10, this is where we also have a little bit of shakeup. Last week, I had myself in the 10 spot. I'm actually moving up. I'm putting in Slacky at the 10 spot. Well, let me let Pete into this so he can hear this part. Maybe not. All right, here we go. You good, bro?
King's back.
All right. You back? All right, we're ready.
What I was
right.
saying.
No, we don't care.
11.
We've already moved past it. We moved past it.
All right.
All right. In the 10 spot, this is where we're
Did you at
shaking
least
it
give me
up.
my respect for beating Mikey?
No, I actually forgot about that because you've lost 2 in a row.
Well, I mean, last show, George
Yeah.
says no one's worried about Pete. No one's worried about Pete. Pete, go to sleep, lay down, dog, and die. Literally the next week, I come from behind on Sunday night and beat Mikey. So, I mean, I was just looking for a little flowers. Give me my flowers.
Sure. No, it's true. Since that week, you lost 2 in a row. Mikey has won 2 in a row. He's now in the lead in this division. We'll get to his team in a little bit. 10 spot, we're switching it up. We got in Slacky there. A little bit of my reasoning behind that. If anything, it's punishment. He started Calvin Ridley this week. Everyone knew he was out. Still started him. Put up, let me see. He put up, where is he? 94.36 points. Sean Fitz actually texted me the math. If he played his reasonable lineup, he definitely would have beaten Mikey. That could be something that kind of changes the dynamic of the league moving forward, because now Mikey is in the lead in his division. So that was definitely a big loss and a big win as far as the division race goes. George, you want to start?
Am I having audio issues here?
You've been on mute. You've been going back and forth on mute for the last couple minutes. I thought you were doing it intentionally.
No, I was trying to figure out if you guys can hear me. Just to go back, Pete, you get no flowers because you proved my point that literally no one cares, because I don't think that it was an event when Mikey lost.
Nobody said anything.
Which is exactly the point that I was making earlier on the show. What are we talking? We're talking about what are we talking about right now?
We got in Slacky at 10.
Oh yeah, and Slocky at 10. And
Got you
Slocky
rattled, George.
should be lower. He's his inability to put together his optimal lineup is pretty shocking, considering that he doesn't actually have that many players to play. So it's like confusing how he's not able to put together.
Realistically, he doesn't have much of a choice, and he still fucks it up.
He's still right. Like that's incredible to me. So he's either trying and bad, or he's not trying. But it seems like to mess up that roster, you'd actually have to go in and intentionally, like you'd have to mess it up, because if you weren't.
Well, I think the one thing so far has been, so he's a big Jets fan, so he's been like wanting to start Zach Wilson, and just by doing that, that's clearly been a recipe for disaster. Just some insight into Anslacky's last 3 weeks since we did the power rankings, and it's kind of a good idea of what his team's like. Starting in week 3, going to week 5, he's gone 85.14, 156.92, and then 94.36, which is purely just managerial error. He should have had way more points than that. But yeah, I think if anything, it's a penalty for what he just did in the last week, but also the last couple of weeks. Lost 2 of the last 3 and has had 2 under 100-point performances. That mixed with the management issues, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to bump him down in power ranks. Pete, you got any thoughts on that?
No thoughts on that one, KB.
All right, we'll move it forward. At 9, I'm remaining humble, coming off the big win. I'm keeping myself at 9. Considered moving myself up more, but I was really being analytical about it, and I decided that 9's a good spot. Coming off of a huge win, very dramatic win against Bowen. That's one of those games that means a little bit more, given my history with Bowen. The two of us, we came up through the ranks together, learned fantasy together. So it was good to get that win there against a good buddy of mine. The last couple of weeks, though, I'm starting to kind of string together some good wins. I've won 2 of my last 3. Also, it's just kind of a look-ahead spot, too. I think maybe moving forward, I could be moving up. I got 2 up, most likely coming back this week. Michael Thomas coming off the IR or the PUP list in 2 weeks. Pete, what do you think about that? Me moving myself up.
I'm working on a little something here. Give me a next round.
This guy is the worst host of all time.
Yeah, no, I mean,
let me jump in here and be an actual host, be an actual entertainer. I respect everything that you said. You are stringing together some wins. You are, being aggressive out there on the trade market, trying to move Cordell Patterson. Your price is outrageous, but the aggression is there. You're trying to make your team better, and that's something that you're known for. Is you're going to be out there. You're going to be on the trade market. I don't know. I think you should continue to start anybody who's not Tua, including if you just want to leave that position blank. That's also an option that you could do, but I would not put Tua in any starting lineup in fantasy football or real football or college football. So I think that's where we're at with Tua Tagovailoa at this point. But Michael Thomas coming back is going to be huge for your team. And Jonathan Taylor looks like he's oh, you don't have him anymore.
No.
Yeah. So
That's who I went against.
yeah.
With Thomas coming back, even with Clyde being hurt, I can still slide Thomas. If anything, it's kind of between Thomas and Tua for that super flex spot. If you're just looking at how my team's currently laid out, I lost Clyde, so that hurts a little bit. He was starting to kind of figure things out. With Patterson on the bye week, that's a little bit tough, but I'm also facing the most athletic Suns. They have Kamara on the bye week, so it could be a good opportunity for me to kind of put some wins together. I got the Suns this week. I have Slippery Pete coming up. I have Sean Fitz coming up. So I got an opportunity to kind of take advantage of my players coming back and putting together some wins. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe next power rankings, I'm even a couple more slots up.
Play Cam Newton over Tua.
What about Tua?
Play Cam Newton over him.
Well, the way I see it is that at least with a quarterback, you get a good floor for points. It's the one thing I like. But Michael Thomas typically has a good floor as well. All right, that was 9. At 8, we have 2 pins. George, you got a reaction to that?
Yeah, that's a little low for the kid here. Listen, yeah, we're what 8 points away from being 3-2 here, and I think that's a lot better than people think that we could be. We literally are starting absolutely nothing at running back. We got 1 point from our RB2 this week and still put up 130. Not a lot of teams are able to do that. Our team is. That's how we're built. Jamar Chase, star. I know people in the earlier power rankings, they said, we thought we'd be getting a little bit more production out of him. We are. He's here. He's playing well. He's balling. Cooper Kupp is maybe the best receiver in football besides the wide receiver running back Cordell Patterson. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little low to me. I think we're an RB2 away from probably being the best team in the league here, or at least top 4. So I don't know. It feels a little bit low to me, but I see where you're coming from given the structure of our team.
Yeah, I think it was more just one, you guys are 4th in your division. Obviously, when it comes to points for, you're higher up in terms of the playoff race. But you're coming off of 2 straight losses. So that puts you at 2 and 3. I had you between the 7 and the 8 spot, but we'll see. So that we'll see the next team that I have, but I had to kind of keep you at that 8 spot just based off of precedent using the last power rankings and then similar 3-game stretches since then with this other team. Pete, what do you think of team 2 pins? Do you think they're ranked too high, too low, just right? And what do you think their future outlook is looking like?
I think it's just right. And I'm glad you brought up the previous rankings because Team 2 Pins is on a pretty deep slide right now. Came out of the gate at number 5, down to 7 for the second rankings, now down to 8, George, for the third rankings. Points for, you guys are like 6th or 7th in the league. I don't know. I think your team can compete, but I just don't see you. I don't see you putting in maybe you make the playoffs, maybe you skimp in there. I don't know, but I just don't see you competing with the big Brandon McMurrows of the league. So I'd love to see you turn it around, but until then, you're kind of on a deep slide right now.
It's a harsh judgment. George?
Hey, we're just going to keep on fighting. I know that after week 1, there were people that wanted us to blow it up. They wanted us to rebuild. We didn't do it. We stayed the course. Here we are, 2 and 3, right in the mix. So it's a long season. So we're going to continue to grind it out here. People have called my line. They've offered up Kareem Hunt. Be a hell of a story if I ended up getting that player after a long summer. But we're still working the phones. We're still interested in making moves.
I will say, George, I mean, I know you're not going to give me my flowers, but I'll give you yours for shouting out the Pats 2 weeks ago. No one had the Pats in that game, and we're a foot on Nick Foles, a foot to the right on Nick Foles field goal and win that game. So I'll give you some respect there. You definitely got a sound head on your shoulders.
Pete, I got a question for you. There've been a lot of discussions about you trading Joe Mixon. 2 Pins has a clear need at running back. What do you think? Do you think maybe that's a potential trade partner for you?
No, I mean, I honestly, this show's done a lot for me. I think it's making me a better fantasy dynasty player. And the way I see it, I got to build around Mixon and Montgomery. I got two 25, 24-year-old backs that I think I can build around. Trading Mixon doesn't seem like my best move there. I will say Wilson though. Wilson's on the block. I expect Wilson to be off my roster within a week or two.
Very interesting. I heard that there were other team owners that were texting you, asking what the price was. They never got an answer back. Do you have maybe an answer for those owners, or maybe some others that are potentially looking to make a trade for him?
No, I'm just taking a page out of the McMurrow playbook. Doesn't answer, very rarely responds, but always comes with positivity and working towards a deal. Like you're going to be working towards a deal, even though you never are. So I'm taking that play. I'm slow playing it, and I'm fielding offers. I don't really need to make an aggressive move right now. Like George said, it's a long season.
Yeah, no, that isn't McMorrow. McMorrow likes to flirt with the idea of doing the trade, but he never actually, never really likes to go through with it.
Yeah, so I'm flirting. I'm chumming the waters right now, seeing who's going to bite.
All right, so at 7, we have the most athletic Suns. That was an early season sweetheart. Last power rankings are at 4. The last couple of weeks they just haven't been, as dominant. Darryl Waller really hasn't done much since that electric Monday night, week 1. Right now they have two straight losses as well. I think just kind of it's more of just in comparison of the teams above them. 7 just kind of ended up being the natural ranking for it. That was just the team that I had them in the same boat as 2 Pins. 2 teams that could be very dangerous. They're putting the points up. The record's just not there right now, and just based on precedent of where they were in the previous power rankings, it's just where they ended up. George, what do you think of the Suns after their kind of hot start, and then they've been kind of cool the last couple weeks?
I'm glad you brought up the Suns because it allows me to address something much more serious. Obviously, Most Athletic Suns has Darren Waller on his team. He's a member of the Las Vegas Raiders, and we all know they're now ashamed head coach, John Gruden. He's out of there after sending some very conspicuous emails. And I think you'd agree with me. You've been a progressive leader on this front. We don't stand for that. Not in this league. There's no place for that in fantasy football or real football. And so, it's interesting. And I just want to make sure that we have that statement on the record.
Yeah, as commissioner of the Friends Who Gamble Dynasty League, I want to disavow everything that was uncovered in the John Gruden emails. I'm sure that there were more to come if the Raiders were not to fire him. Disavow. Pete, what do you think of the Suns ranked 7th?
I think 7's fair. I like the Suns. I like what Jalot's done with that team. I really like the Suns to get a wild card. I think they're after a wild card. I think the Zits turn it around. Bowen turns it around and comes out of the our division. But I think 7's fair. I might have had him at 6, but around that ballpark's fine. When it comes to John Gruden, Derek Carr said, "Love the man, hate the sin," and I don't love the man, and I do hate the sin. So disavow.
Yeah.
Disavow.
Derek Carr is trying to separate the art from the artist. We will not. We are an anti-John Gruden league. Moving on. At 6, we have the Fitzpatricks. This is a team that kind of just refuses to die. We all know that the season's going to blow up in their face at some point, but they keep getting heroic performances. Lamar kind of put the team on his back this past week. But right now, you can't deny the results in front of us. They're 3-2. They've won 2 in a row. They're putting up the points. Let me see if I have it written down. Yeah, they've won 2 in a row. They keep finding ways to win. I think we all know at the end of the season, they'll probably be dropped out of the playoff race probably in a couple weeks. It's got to catch up to them. You just know this is a cursed season. George, what do you think of the Fitzpatricks?
I don't really have any opinions on the teams in this sort of 6-7 range. I think he probably is in the spot that I should be in. So that's kind of how I look at his team. Could I beat him on any given day? Absolutely. So, I think it's probably a flip-flop, him at 8, me at 6, but I do see what you're saying in terms of, the kind of performance that they've been putting out on the field there.
Yeah, I mean, I have eyeballs. I got a brain. I see a team that's starting Devin Singletary, Josh Jacobs, Marvin Jones, Taylor Heineke. it's not a good team. Yeah, they can put up points on Sundays here and there, but you just know that when all the chips are on the table, you're gonna win games. It's not gonna happen. Pete, I know this is your rival. Sound off.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I've said it. I'll say it again. Anyone with two eyes and a taint knows that this roster is snake bitten and just not going to put up the points. I mean, I think they are ninth right now in points for it. And you take me and Fitz out of the equation, they're basically bottom of the barrel of the league when it comes to scoring. Snake bitten. Snake bitten. I kicked Simcoe out of the club week 1. I'm going to stand by it, not let him back in.
You are totally using the phrase snake bitten incorrectly. I mean, we can address that on another day, but just so you know that for your own purposes as you continue through life.
All right.
Okay.
At 5, we have the occasional Vibers. What do I have? They're 3-2. They won 2 of the last 3, 4th in points. I think this is the right spot for them. Obviously have the potential to go bigger. They got Kyler, they got Josh Allen, they got good players at the skill positions. Right now they're just second in the division. So when you kind of look at the other teams ahead of them, I think 5 is just a fair spot. George, is Igor there for a live reaction?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, what up, Igor?
You don't have to answer.
Pete, Alex, how's it going? I mean, we're getting a little bit unsustainable production from Kareem Hunt, but at the same time, Gibson's not really producing to his level. AJ Brown has been abysmal. He's been horrible. Gotta imagine that he's gonna step it up as the second half of the season approaches. So I think 5's a good spot. Just brace for the second half run as Javonte really takes over the job too. We're gonna be knocking on the door of the top 3, I would say.
Yeah, no, I see the vision. Yeah, I mean, it's just, with you at 5, we got 3 division leaders. So those are the top 3 seeds. And then we got another team that's just, top of the league in points. So, yeah, I think there's obviously the recipe there to be, a top team, a championship contender. But right now we're only 5 weeks in. So, we got to let the rest of the season play out.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
George, what are you going to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not being talked about how bad Antonio Gibson's been. A lot of people were coming into the season. They called him DCCMC. I didn't call him that. Other people called him that. He hasn't been – him, Damian Harris, same thing. So I don't love the back situation there. I do think I agree with him. Javonte is going to come in the second half of the year. But once he trades me Kareem Hunt, it's going to be kind of barren over there. And then you got to account for Kyler Murray's kind of second half of the year fall off, which is, guaranteed. So I don't know. I think he's in a little bit more dire of a situation than one might think. I think it's possible that the Tennessee Titans just aren't a good football team. And AJ Brown is just kind of stuck in this role for a little bit here. He's obviously going to be better than he is. He's been, like he said, abysmal. But I don't know. I'm not as optimistic as Igor ended up in the top spot here as a lot of other people are. But call me sinister if you want, pessimistic.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz around the league too that there's some rumblings in the clubhouse between the 2 owners because they're looking back at the trade history with Antonio Gibson. They're seeing that they traded away Gibson for the first round pick that ended up being Kyle Pitts. And then they also threw Marquise Hollywood Brown on top of that. It's interesting seeing how that trade plays out. But I've heard that there's some disgruntled ownership with that team. But it's just interesting looking at that trade, looking back, seeing how things like that play out. At 4, we have
Whoa.
What are you gonna say, Pete?
I mean, KB, you're skipping me, and George is over here laughing. He's muted right now. We don't even know what he's laughing about. Like,
we're just goofing.
The disgruntled owner take is hilarious.
all right. Well, when it comes to the Vibers, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I just got one question for Igor.
What's up?
Igor, where are you? Can't see you. Oh, there you are. Igor, a little bit I like to do here called Pete's Island. Every guest that comes on the show gets to pick one team owner to get kicked off the island.
Well, hold on. Let me firstly.
Fitz kicked off McMurrow. You being the second guest now, you get to kick a team owner off of Pete's Island. Who are you going to pick?
Well, I'd like to denounce the fact that we're calling them owners. We're all managers. Nobody owns anyone.
Actually, we're governors. We're governors of the team.
Okay.
That's-
Right. Managers,
Yeah.
governors, whatever you say.
Denouncing
So-
of owners acknowledged.
Yes.
What am I doing here?
You get to pick, or you get to kick a governor, a team governor, off Pete's Island.
Off of Pete's Island. Let's kick Joe off. What does Joe do?
See ya, Joe.
Not much. He
Thank
doesn't
you,
do
Igor.
much. He doesn't talk trade when George asks him. George delegates the trade talks, and Joe doesn't take over. Joe likes going on vacations. He likes going on trips. He likes posting Instagram stories of him and his girlfriend. None of that really involves dynasty football. All right. At 4, we have Trey Lance and the Zits. They're coming off a big loss. Let's see. They've lost 3 of their last 4, actually. They're coming off a big loss to me. It's very dramatic back and forth. We've already talked about it, but they're still second in the league in points. So, if the playoffs were to start today, they'd be, the 4 seed, they'd be the first wild card. I think that they're a team that has the potential. They can really go on a run. Just looking at their points, I think they've kind of had some unlucky scheduling, but 4th in points in a league that where points for rules. They're a very strong team. It'll be interesting to see Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, how that plays out with the quarterback, but he's still got Stafford and Hurts. It's a very good team. Pete, what do you think about Trey Lance and the Zits at 4?
I think it's okay. I cannot believe we haven't talked about Mikey yet. That means Mikey's coming. I can't believe that Mikey's above the last 2 teams you said. But in terms of 4 for them, I think it's a good spot for them. Points for wise, they're in great shape. Yeah, that's fair. Not much else.
George?
It's interesting. I think the most interesting thing about that team, honestly, on a serious note, is the Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been like the enigma of my life for the past couple of weeks. I don't know if he's good or bad. He could be absolutely terrible. He could be a top 12 quarterback in the league. I really don't know what to make of him. So I kind of feel like that team has the potential to kind of go as he goes here. If he's, he has the potential to kind of he could be a bad, good fantasy quarterback just because of his rushing ability. And I feel like he takes so much away from Sanders when they get in the red zone there. He's always going to be a threat to score it. So I think that's kind of the player to keep your eye on his team. I think that'll kind of be directionally where they go. If he starts to tank it there, then I think that's kind of where he'll go. And if he can be steady, then I think that they have a real chance.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a disconnect with public perception and then fantasy perception, because fantasy-wise, he's almost a top 5 quarterback, but I just feel like all the reactions on Twitter have been oh, Jalen Hurts, bad quarterback, whatever, but he's still putting the points up. But it's like you said, I mean, there definitely could be weeks where maybe things just don't work out. I think this week could be very ugly against the Bucs and that rushing defense that they have. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he does this. It feels like he'll probably be forced to pass a little bit more. He does have some big passing games this season, so he's obviously shown that he can do it. But it'll be interesting to see how he plays against a team that's this good against the rushing, and if they are able to shut him down, how Bowen's team kind of handles that, out of their super flex spot on a weekly basis. Pete, what do you think about? You already said something, right?
I think that, yeah, I did. But I think that tidbit George tossed in there about Jalen Hurts might be the best analysis that we've given to date. I mean, Hurts, he can throw 2 picks for 100 yards in the air, but then put down 60, 70 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown and make out with 15 to 20 points and still have a good fantasy week. So I think that's good. I think you hit the nail on the head there, George. But what's interesting, I think, is James Robinson. Broke out the last 2 weeks. He's really shown up on a team, Jacksonville, that's going to be behind most of the time. You'd think Trevor Lawrence would be slinging it, but I think if James Robinson keeps putting up those numbers, the Zits got a good future.
Yeah. All right. So at 3, we have the one that Pete, I guess, has been waiting to talk about. We got Mikey. So Mikey now he's won 2 in a row. He's 5th in points per game, and he just took the division lead. So he's a top 3 seed. His team's hot right now, and he's up there in points. He's doing a good job with scoring points. So even if he were to fall out of the division lead, he'd still be in a good spot. So I just feel like after the the last 2 weeks, what he's been able to do in the division, I feel like he's worthy of that top 3 spot with the other 2 division leaders ahead of him. We'll wait to hear Pete's thoughts. George, what do you think about that?
I think that's right. I actually like Mikey's team a lot. I think that Mikey, I thought going into the year, he had one of the better teams in the league. I think he's just going to continue to get better. I love his young pieces. He's going to be a cornerstone top team for a good amount of time here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like his quarterbacks are starting to kind of find their groove. It'll be interesting to see how Burrow plays if he's not able to talk this week. But I mean, he's having good weeks. He put up a big week this week, and he wasn't even starting. He had Barkley on the bench, and obviously he had that injury, and it'll be interesting to see because injuries were kind of what killed Mikey last year, and it all started with Barkley. But he's still got Chubb, Henderson he traded for, and that's an emerging running back there. Jefferson's been very hot. Higgins is back. He didn't even have that big of a week, but Najee Harris is starting to be kind of a safety blanket for Big Ben too. So yeah, like you said, I mean, for now and for the future, Mikey's team is probably going to continue to find success and stay hot. So Pete, what do you think? Because you said that your surprise is this high.
Yeah, very surprised this high. First off, again, I'll say it. I'm a Team Mikey guy. I'm rooting for this rebuild. I want him to pull it off. Team Mikey through and through. But the thing that I'm looking at here is 572 points against, which is third least in the league. So yeah, I mean, he put up 150 last week. I think 130 the week before. But the 2 weeks before that, he had like 109 and 92. So points for, he's right in the middle of the mix after 2 big weeks. But I think that points against number is the one we're not looking at. Third least in the league, hasn't faced a lot of competition yet. I don't think Mikey comes out of the Gabagool division. I think that belongs to the Suns or the Zits. Mikey makes the playoffs, but like we said, earlier in the season, like this team has a huge future ahead of them. I don't think they have it in them this season. Interesting
that you throw the Suns in there like that. I think right now in that division, it's kind of a 2-team race between the Bowens.
Mikey's got
I think
7 more
the
points
Suns have an
for than the
outside
Suns.
chance, but I think the Bowens are definitely the 2 strongest teams there.
Yeah, fair. But I don't know. I think it's too high. I would have had Vibers. I think I would have had Vibers in the 3 spot and the Bowens at 4 and 5.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, we're also, you just got to think about, we're kind of going off of, what we have in front of us. And, right now, Mikey's a top 3 seed. So I feel like he deserves the respect. He's won 2 in a row. He's worked his way into that top 3 seed right now. So, being 5th in points, I think he deserves the chance to, show that he has a little bit more. I mean, the Vibers, they do have the same record. They have slightly more points, but they're also in McMorrow's division. So I think that with Mikey being in a more open division, that's a little bit easier, where he has a little bit more of a shot, not going against a team like McMorrow. I think, I think he deserves that respect. George, you got anything to add? All right. At 2 and 1, there's no shakeup. We got the same as last week or the prior rankings. I don't think it's much of a surprise. I think there's a little bit of a debate between who's 1 and who's 2. But we got at 2, we got Big Brain. At 1, we got Chris Carson Wentz. Big Brain at 2, they won 4 in a row. They've been putting up. They've had three of those last 4 games. They've had over 136 points. I think they're probably. I think the debate's there. I think it's not even much of a debate. They're definitely the hottest team as far as wins in the league. But McMorrow, he's still just kind of reigns supreme with points. He's got a 50-point lead over Bowen. Bowen's 2nd in the league in points. Big Brain's 3rd. He's got a 50-point lead over Bowen. McMorrow does 146.6 points per game over the last 3 weeks. He's won 2 in a row. I think he just there hasn't really been anything to kind of knock him off of that top spot. So I think right now that just kind of stays the same at 1 and 2. George?
Yeah, I mean, the Bowen's teams are pretty. I mean, sorry, not Bowen. McMurrow's teams are pretty simple analysis. Last year he won the league, and Zeke had a down year. This year Zeke is kind of back. Tony Pollard is better than him, but he is kind of back.
And he's got both.
What?
And McMorrow's got both too. So
that yeah. So
George, we call that a handcuff in the league, in the biz.
Don't ever define a fancy term for me. All right, thanks. I'm in the middle of my analysis here. We only got 5 minutes. So yeah, what I was saying is he won the league last year with Zeke having a down year. This year Zeke's kind of back, and he has the better back of that squad in Tony Pollard. So and running backs like Derrick Henry, they come on at the end of the year, and apparently they come on at the beginning of the year now. So it's going to be really tough to beat him. I think Dalvin Cook being hurt is kind of the only thing that could really hold him back. But he's got Chris Carson on his bench, I believe. So
Yeah, and another thing too is that McMorrow's kind of figured out his wide receiver problems. Deontay Johnson is, he's healthy right now, and he's, doing a really good job. Antonio Brown's been great this year. Robert Woods just had a big week, and I think we're kind of forgetting he's got Allen Robinson on the bench, and who knows how Allen Robinson's going to do for the rest of the year. It's been a very down year. Quarterback play has not been great, but it's also a little concerning because he's typically been known as being quarterback proof. He was putting up huge numbers with Mitch Trubisky, and now he's had Dalton and Justin Fields, and hasn't really been, anything great. So it'll be interesting to see if Robinson, who's 29, if this is maybe just a down year, if it's the start of something, or if it's just a slow start to the season, and he'll really come on in the second half. And if that's true, then McMorrow's team is really a problem, especially with Mark Andrews at tight end. Pete, you got anything else?
Yeah, a little bit. Just that I spoke to Big Brain leadership and recently, and just kind of asked them, what are you going to do to separate yourself from McMorrow? Clearly those two have run the league last year into this year. Big Brain's concerned with their depth. We talked about the depth McMorrow has on their bench. Big Brain doesn't have it. Sure, they could run away and win the championship, compete in the playoffs, but I expect a big move out of Big Brain soon to try to get some depth on their roster.
Interesting.
Yeah, but by no
I know
by
they've
no
been in the
means.
market for a certain Bengals running back. It'll be interesting to see how things unfold, especially with your comments tonight about building around that same running back. I wonder what else what other teams are playing in the market right now.
They're definitely out there to get a play. The last thing I would say is that McMorrow and Big Brain, neither team is snake bitten in any way, shape, or form.
You just gonna continue to use that term incorrectly?
I guess so.
Do you think they are snake bitten, George? I don't think either team is.
I don't think
in
you
any way,
know
shape, or form.
what snake bitten even. I don't think you have a clue.
Let's have a definition off. We got a couple minutes left.
Do you know what
Yeah,
snake bitten
Pete,
is?
you define it first. You go first.
I mean, I've used it in several sentences. George hasn't done anything.
I'm going to pull up the official definition.
Several sentences.
What does that have to do with you knowing what it means? You've used it incorrectly.
I mean, George,
All
the
the
ball's in
time.
your court, George. I'm waiting.
I'm sorry?
George,
ball's in your court.
George, present your definition.
No, I want to know what definition he's been using it because he's used it in 3 different ways. So I want to know what he's thinking is the definition of snake bit.
You were the one who said I was using it incorrectly, so therefore it's the
Burden of
burden's
proof.
on you to define.
True.
Okay, snake bitten means like that you have super bad luck or you've had like a significant like string of injuries, something to that nature. It doesn't mean that you are bad or are like it's more like unfortunate.
True. Big Brain,
I
they did
think
lose
I called
McCaffrey. He's coming back.
Simcoe's team snake bitten, who was
I thought it was
unfortunate
a fair
string of
use of
injuries.
Simcoe's
Well,
team.
you cannot call a team unfortunate if they haven't done anything that is unfortunate.
I don't know, George.
had
I
the running back injuries.
I think you might need a lawyer next time you try to get into an argument like this. Maybe hire Sean Fitz. That could help you.
I defend myself.
All right, let's see. We got a minute left. So I think we'll call it there. I'll do one last rundown. Starting at 12, we got Draft Pick Factory, Slippery Pete, and Slacky, Slow Stroke Kings, Two Pins, Most Athletic Sons, Shits Patrick's, Vibers, Trey Lance and the Zits, Go Tigers, Big Brain, and Chris Carson Wentz.